بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم نحمده ونصلي على رسوله الكريم أما بعد. Inshallah, we're moving on to now the fourth lesson regarding المشترك and المؤول. اشترك يشترك اشتراكا, to be partners. شريك لا شريك له, Allah has no partners. So المشترك. مؤول أول يؤول تأويلا, to give a meaning, to appoint a meaning. What does this mean? So we have the quick recap. We have Usool al-Shashi, and we said in Usool al-Shashi we have the first is al-Bahth al-Awwal is Kitabullah, and in Kitabullah I said to you there are different taqsim. We look at the words of the Kitabullah from different aspects. Regarding that, we covered four words. We covered a few words. We covered the first word was khas and then am. If the word is known but it refers to one member, whether it's on the lowest level as afrad, a bit higher level as a naw, or it's referring to them as a jins. In all of these, if you're referring to one fard, this is called khas. If the khas does not have any qaid, any specification, it's called mutlaq. And if it has a specification, like a mudaf ilay or a na'at, then it's called muqayyad. Correct? If that word has a known meaning, it refers to multiple afrad, it's called am. Yes? So far, this is what we did so far. Then we're moving on. Now, the two new words that we're discussing today are al-Mushtarak and al-Mu'awwal. So in regards to these two, we say it has what? A single known meaning. The meaning is a single meaning, like it doesn't mean rajulun means rajul, nothing else. Thalathatun means three, not four, and not five. Zayd means Zayd, not Amr and Bakr, has a known meaning. Mushtarak is that word which we say is a homonym, I think. I mean, it has multiple meanings. So now, we're not sure exactly what is meant. When we, like for example, I give you examples. When we say, well, okay, it has two meanings, it has three meanings, it has four meanings, and we come to a conclusion, what evidence we use, we discuss that later on. But based on certain evidences, we've said, okay, it means this. Then that mushtarak becomes mu'awwal. So a mu'awwal is basically an extension of mushtarak. It's not a separate category. It's basically a mushtarak which has been solved. And an unsolved mushtarak remains mushtarak. Does that make sense? So if it has multiple meanings, for example, and then we have sunnah, then we have ijma, qiyas, and a few other rulings. Okay? Right. So al-mushtaraku, a mushtarak word, ma wudi'a li ma'nayayni mukhtalifayn, which has been coined, meaning linguistically in the dictionary, in the people's usage, this word is used for various meanings. So two, أو لمعان مختلفة الحقائق, or for many meanings which have various different meanings, which are separate. For example, the word fluke. The word fluke, what does it mean? Huh? By luck, that's one meaning. But it also means a fish and a flatworm. I just copy and paste it from Google. Yes? It also means the end parts of an anchor is also called a fluke. The fins on a whale's tails are also called a fluke. And a stroke of luck is also called fluke. Okay? So now this word fluke, in linguistically, in the dictionary, it has four meanings. What is it? Mushtarak, is it am or is it khas? Or is it mushtarak or mu'awwal? Mushtarak. So when you say the word fluke on its own, it's called what? Mushtarak. When I said they won by fluke, what does this become now? Fluke. What does this become? Mushtarak or mu'awwal? Why? We haven't specified it. We use a context to figure out what it means. So originally the word fluke is mushtarak, because we said the word one. This is context, and this context allows us to make the word mushtarak into mu'awwal. Or you say here the word fluke here means what? Look. Yes? The ship cannot stop because the fluke was broken. So fluke is mushtarak. The context of ship means that it's the end part of anchor. We have a few other examples in English, but it's spelled differently. So creek and creek. So one creek, what's one creek mean?
first creek is a sound creek.
Yeah, one creek is a sound and one is a river or dam or little, huh?
The second one is the river.
Yeah, the second one is a river. Then days and days, I know this one. Yes, my English is not that bad. Yeah, so days is when you buzz and days is when you're, days of the week, no. DAYS is Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Sunday. And days is you're buzzed, you don't know what's going on. DEAR is my beloved. And DEER is, so because it's spelled differently, it's not mushtarak really in English. The spelling is the ta'wil basically. But if you didn't hear it, after it's spelled the same way, because there's no difference pronunciation is there really. So if you do like universalize the spelling, you get idea. In Arabic, aynun, what does aynun mean? It means eyes and it also means spring. So is it mushtarak? And then the context will tell us, fiha aynun jariyah. We know there it refers to, in the Quranic verse, fiha aynun jariyah refers to the springs. So now that's now ma'awwal. So this is the definition, you get it? So al-mushtaraku ma wudi'a li ma'nayayn mukhtalifayn. Has two or more meanings. This is called a mushtarak. مثاله قول. I'll give an easy example. قولنا جارية. مثاله قولنا جارية فإنها تتناول الأمة والسفينة. The word جارية in Arabic language is used for slave girl, أمة, and it's also used for safina. Yes? Jawari. Jawari. So it's used for both. That's an example. Okay. Similarly, the word mushtari. Ishtara yashtari. It means فَإِنَّهُ يَتَنَاوَلُ قَابِلَ أَقْدِ الْبَيْء. It refers to the one who accepts the transaction, the ba'i and the mushtari. Correct? And it also refers to كَوْكَبُ السَّمَاء. The word mushtari also refers to كَوْكَبُ السَّمَاء. What does it refer to? A star in the sky. Fahim? So the word mushtari has multiple meanings, so it's called mushtarak. The word jariya has multiple meanings, so it is called mushtarak. Similarly, this is now going to have more of a fiqh ruling. قولنا بائن فإنه يحتمل, isn't it? Yeah, this is all spelling. I copied and pasted from a Word document, not mine, so there's a lot of mistakes in there. فإنه يحتمل البين والبيان. The word بان يبين has different meanings. One is to make something very clear. ولا يكاد يبين. He can't even express himself. Correct? And bana yabinu from bain means to separate. So ba'in, you're separate. So when you say anti ba'inun, it can mean you are very eloquent in expressing yourself. It can mean you are ba'in, meaning you're distinguished from all the other women. Or it could also mean you're now separate from me. It's mushtarak, has multiple meanings. I mean, yes? Acha. When you have a mushtarak, what's the ruling of a mushtarak? وحكم المشترك أنه إذا تعين الواحد, isn't it? إذا تعين الواحد مرادا به. The ruling of a mushtarak is إذا تعين الواحد. أي واحد, أي one of the meanings. أي واحد من المعاني. So when one of the meanings has been fixed as the intended meaning, muradan bihi. When we use anything, whatever context we use to determine the meaning. إذا تعين الواحد من المعاني. When any one of the meanings has been fixed as the muradan bihi, as the intended meaning from it. سقط اعتبار إرادة غيره. Any other meaning cannot be taken. You can't have a word and say, oh, ishtaraytu jariyatan, and then you say, oh, I meant both. Yes? It has to be one. In that context, it has to be only one. For example, in English, this is bad. Well, in slang, not in English. So bad, haqiqatan bad means not good. But it's in our language, it also used as really good. This is bad. Now, you say it can't be both. When you speak, what did you mean then? It can't have both meanings. It's mushtarak, it has multiple meanings, but both can't be intended at the same time. It has to be one of them. When we say, you know what, he was saying, this is bad, and he's shaking his hand like this is bad. That means what? This is really good. Now, it's not bad. You following? It's confusing. Again, you need context to understand. Maybe 100 years time to watch this video, think, what are these guys talking about? When the language changes again, if the world lasts that long, and if the videos, YouTube's not been hacked and deleted by then, wallahu alam. Okay, example. Right. وَلِهَذَا, no, it's not mithal, but he's kind of saying, well, because we have said the rule that when we have a mushtarak word and one meaning is taken, then the other meaning can't be taken. Now, is this a mithal or is this a fara of the hukam? It doesn't matter. وَلِهَذَا, based upon this rule, that when one meaning is taken, the other meaning becomes saqit, أجمع العلماء رحمهم الله تعالى, the ulama have done ijma' على أن لفظ القروء, the word quru in the verse that we done before, المذكور في كتاب الله تعالى, محمول, it is mahmul, it is interpreted, it's lifted onto a meaning, it is taken either as على الحيض كما هو مذهبنا, as is the madhab of Abu Hanifa رحمة الله عليه, أو على الطهر كما هو مذهب الشافعي. Correct? You can't both. Yes? فهمت? You understand? So it has to be one of them. We have ijtihad, we do not our ijtihad, and our ijtihad was that quru means hayd. Imam Shafi rahmatullah alayhi, his ijtihad is that it refers to tahar. Whatever the ijtihad is. But when you fix one meaning, it can't be the other one. You can't have both meanings at the same time of one mushtarak word. Fahimt? Now, based on this, we have a masla here. We have a person. Rajul. He's our person. Correct? Where's it gone? A pen? Here it is. We have a person, a rajul. He's our person. Correct? Now, the word mawla is a mushtarak word in the Arabic language. The word mawla, because they don't say mawlana. But mawla is a mushtarak word. Like from the Sahaba's time, it was used in multiple meanings. One meaning is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Another meaning is a respectful person. Another meaning is mawla is mu'tiq. Who's mawla? Mu'tiq. So for example, Abu Bakr radiyallahu ta'ala anhu is the mu'tiq of Bilal radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. The Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam is a mawla of Zayd ibn Haritha. He's a mu'tiq. He freed Zayd ibn Haritha radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. Yes? And the mawla can also mean mu'taq. So Bilal is also a mawla of Abu Bakr. And Zayd ibn Haritha is a mawla of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. So when a person says, oh, mawla, when, let's say a person who was a slave, he was freed, then he earned wealth, and he thought, I've got some wealth, now let me buy some slaves and free them as well. And then he freed slaves. So he said, mawlaya, or mawlaya. Who does it mean by mawlaya? The one who freed me or the one who I freed? It's mushtarak, isn't it, for him? If he was always a freed person, then the word mawla would mean, what would it mean? His slaves. If he's a slave, or he was freed, he's free, but he never owned any slaves, or he never freed any slaves, then mawla would only mean the one that freed him. But if he has both, mawla min a'la, mawla min asfal, the word mawla for him is what? Mushtarak. And what's the rule regarding mushtarak? We have to only do amal upon one of them. We don't do umum. It has to be one meaning only. You understand? So based on this, وَقَالَ مُحَمَّدٌ رَحِمَهُ اللَّهُ تَعَالَى, Imam Muhammad rahmatullahi alayhi says, إِذَا أَوْصَى لِمَوَالِي بَنِي فُلَانٍ. A person gives wasiyah. He's passing away and he said, 1/3 of my wealth is going to go to mawali bani fulan. Yes? Banu Najjar, Banu Adi, Bani Fulan, Banu Fulan. So this is wasiyah, he written down. He said, لِمَوَالِي بَنِي فُلَانٍ ثُلُثُ مَالِي. 1/3 of my wealth will be invested or given to the mawali of Bani Fulan. وَلِبَنِي فُلَانٍ مَوَالٍ مِنْ أَعْلَى وَمَوَالٍ مِنْ أَسْفَلٍ. That Bani Fulan were slaves at one point. They were freed and then they bought slaves and then they freed them. So they have mawali for asfal and a'la. Fahimt? So now this word is what? Mushtarak. What's the rule regarding mushtarak? You have to fix one meaning, do amal upon both of them, upon one of them. Both can't be intended at the same time. Famata. Yes? Famata ay? Famata qabla ay yubayyin. Before he could clarify who he meant. We have no context. No, we have no context to say what? Who is meant. Obviously, some would say, well, it would mean mawla min asfal because of this reason. Some would say mawla from this aspect. But what he's saying in Usool Shashi is, there is no wajhu tarjih. There is no reason to give one mawla preference. Oh, it means this. So therefore, if he dies before he done wasiyah, what's the word? Is it mushtarak or is it mu'awwal? It is mushtarak. We do not have any wajh tarjih. So therefore, بطلت الوصية في حق الفريقين. Regarding both groups, the mawla min a'la and the mawla min asfad, the wasiyah is batil, because we do not know what is meant here. Another philosopher would be share it half. Yes, half and half. But we say what? It can't be both. Because mushtarak cannot be both meanings, only one meaning. It can only be one meaning at one time. It can't be hayz and tuhur. It has to be one of them. Similarly here, it can't be mawla from the top, mawla from the bottom. It has to be one of them. And because he hasn't clarified it, we have no wajh tarjih, so the wasiyah is batil. Yes?
So even if we know, like, let's say,
I'm not discussing. You can all, if you have context, then we say, okay, we have context, we know what it was. Yes? But if you have no context, it's batil. Whether you agree with it, there's other things, we're not going through it. The masala is what? It's mushtarak. And we say mushtarak, if it's not muta'ayyan, then it becomes batil. Yes? If you have context, then we can use the context of regard. Why is it batil? لِاسْتِهَالَةِ الْجَمْعِ بَيْنَهُمَا. Istihala, mustahil, because of being impossible to bring both together. Mushtarak, you can't have both meanings at the same time. وَأَدَمِ الرُّجْحَانِ لِاسْتِهَالَةِ الْجَمْعِ بَيْنَهُمَا وَلِأَدَمِ الرُّجْحَانِ. Because you can't take both meanings and we have no reason to pick one meaning over the other. So therefore this wasiyah is batil and nobody will get anything. That's how Imam Muhammad they've come to that conclusion. And you notice this masala down in one of the books. Fahim? Everybody following? Okay, next example. وقال أبو حنيفة إذا قال لزوجته أنت علي مثل أمي. You are like my mom. أنت علي مثل أمي. You are like my mom to me. Now the Arabs do dhihar. Correct? So he says here, لا يكون مظاهرا. This itself is not dhihar. What does dhihar mean? When a person gives talaq to his wife or he tries to say to his wife that you or one of your parts of your body is like my wife or one of my, like my mother or my sister or my daughter in hurma. When he says anta alayya mithlu ummi, does it have one meaning or two meanings? Has two meanings. لأن اللفظ مشترك بين الكرامة والحرمة. This word is mushtarak بين الكرامة والحرمة. It can mean, you know, my mother is so respectable to me, she's such a kind woman, she's so kind, she's so beloved, she's so X, Y, and Z. وأنت علي مثله. Like the same way I would always respect my mother, I would always respect you. So karama. It could also mean hurma. Correct? It has what? Mushtarak. Both meanings are equal. So you will not sit at the heart unless فَلَا يَتَرَجَّهُ جِحَةُ الْحُرْمَةِ إِلَّا بِالنِّيَّةِ. If you have the niyyah of dhihar, now the niyyah now gives preference to one meaning over the other. Without niyyah, we say both meanings are sawa. Correct? So maybe some people say if you say this automatically, what happens? The dhihar. Imam Abu Hanifa says no. This word is what? Mushtarak. So for mushtarak, what do you have to do? Do ta'yeen of one of them. How do you ta'yeen? Via niyyah. If there's no niyyah, no dhihar. Does that make sense, this masala? So again, remember I told you, even with Kitabullah, he mentioned the principle of Kitabullah, the mushtarak, and then he gives furu'. He gives different fiqh rulings. So sometimes the fiqh rulings are explanation of the example, and sometimes the fiqh rulings are proof of the masala. Now look, Imam Abu Hanifa said this masala. That means he used a mushtarak is understood in the Hanafi fiqh as such. You get it? Are you following? So I said we digress from Kitabullah to many furu' in between. So sometimes he uses the fara' that Imam Muhammad said this, Imam Abu Hanifa said this. Therefore the Hanafi madhab understands this word in this context. We use khas like this, we use ma like this, we use mushtarak like this, muqayyad like this. Like as an evidence, and sometimes an explanation of the rules. Fahim? Acha. Another example. وَعَلَى هَذَا قُلْنَا لَا يَجِبُ النَّظِيرُ فِي جَزَاءِ السَّيْءِ لِقَوْلِ تَعَالَى. What do we say? Remember the rule again. The rule is, if you have a word and the word is what? Mushtarak. You can do amal, you have to do amal upon one. You can't do amal upon both. When one is fixed, the other becomes saqit, la i'tibara bihi. Now based on this, he's saying, look, the same mushtarak word. We're saying here, look, Allah says in the Quran, the red part is I added on, and the blue, the green, the black part is actually in the kitab. Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu, la taqtulu as-sayda wa antum hurum. You are not allowed to hunt when you are in the state of ihram. وَمَنْ قَتَلَهُ أَيْ الصَّيْدَ مِنْكُمْ مُتَعَمِّدًا. If a person hunts on purpose whilst in the state of ihram, فَجَزَاءٌ مثل ما قتل من النعم. So then he will have to give a dam, a recompense. مثل ما قتل, like what he has killed. And this مثل will be from the na'am. يحكم به ذوى عدل, who will decide the thing? يحكم به ذوى عدل منكم حجا بالغ الكعبة. Okay? Now, we sing here, the word مثل is مشترك بين معنيين. What's the two معنى? مثل سوري. That the مثل is in what it looks like apparently. So for example, if you hunt a rabbit, what do you have to give? A very small sheep. If you hunt like a deer, probably have to give a sheep or maybe something that size, that looks similar in size. That's mithlun suriyun. And then we have mithlun ma'nawiyun, which is the qima. So 100 pound or 200 pound doesn't resemble a deer in surah, but is equal or is like a deer in terms of ma'na, has the same value. You following? So mithlu ma qatala min an-na'am. So the mithlu has how many possibilities? Two possibilities. So the word mithlu is what? What's the word mithlu? Mushtarak. Now because the word mithlu is mushtarak, what's the ruling regarding mushtarak? You have to see which meaning is intended. And when one meaning is intended, then what do? We take that meaning and the other becomes saqit. So we say, is one meaning fixed? We said yes. Ta'ayyana fil usfur. If a person was to hunt a small bird, then there is no na'am, there is no livestock equal to a bird. In this case, what do we have to give? Qima, because there's no other animal in line with this. Again, there's many ishkars and questions, but just understand the concept. You get the concept what's happening here? If you want to go through all the ishkars, the shuru and the hawashi have all the questions and answers and all that. Simple is, the word mithla is mushtarak, suratan and ma'nan. Surah means in the same form, they look the same. Sheep and deer, or cow and a bull, or cow and a wild beast or something, they're both similar. Yes? Or ma'na, the price. Now, we know that for sure whenever usfur, there's no na'am, there's no livestock that resembles an usfur, a small bird. So in this case, what do we have to give? So ta'ayyana ahadul ma'ani muradan bihi. We know that in usfur, what's the meaning of mithl? Mithl suri or mithl ma'nawi? Mithl ma'nawi. So that means that the intended meaning of this mushtarak is what? What is it? The ma'na. So this becomes saqit. So therefore, in all situations, what do we have to give? Qima. وعلى هذا قلنا لا يجب النذير في جزاء الصيد لقوله تعالى. We do not have to give an animal similar to it in the jaza'u sayd, in the recompense of an hunted animal, because of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala saying فَجَزَاءٌ مِثْلُ مَا قَتَلَ مِنَ النَّعَمِ لأن المثل مشترك, because the word مثل is mushtarak بين المثل صورة وبين المثل معنى. And what is suratan? They look the same, they have similar features, same size. And in mithl ma'nawi, what is it? Al-qima. Correct? وقد أريد المثل من حيث المعنى بهذا النص في قتل الحمام والأصفور ونحوهما. This text, I've got a lot of mistakes. ونحوهما بالاتفاق. Everybody agrees that if you have a hammam, like a dove or an usfur, a small bird, via this nas, what do we have to give? Haythul ma'na, the meaning, the surah, ma'nawi is intended. So now we've said we've fixed one meaning of the mushtarak. So therefore the mushtarak meaning has been fixed. That meaning becomes the mu'tabar, the other meaning becomes saqit. فَلَا يُرَادُ الْمِثْلُ مِنْ حَيْثُ السُّورَةِ. The second meaning of the mushtarak becomes saqit. وَفِيهِ بَحْثٌ. But for now, do you understand the masala? You understand how he is doing istilah from the mushtarak? Why? It's very important. إِذْ لَا أُمُومَ لِلْمُشْتَرَكِ أَصْلًا. A word which has two meanings. A word which has two meanings, there's no umum for it ever. You can't take both meanings. You following? You can't take both meanings. فَيَسْقُطُ اعْتِبَارُ السُّورَةِ. When we fix one meaning definitely, ijma'an, in hammam and usfur, then listihalat al-jam'i, it is impossible to bring both meanings together. So one meaning has been fixed, the other meaning becomes saqit. So now we know in the Quranic verse is jaza'um mithlu ma qatam an-na'am min haythu al-qima la min haythu as-sura. So whatever animal you hunt, what do you give? Yahkumu bihi dhawa adlin minkum. The dhawa adl, people who are fair and experienced in the field will say the price is £500, price is £400. You give £400 to the fuqara and you give the jaza'un. Fahim? Okay, so we then mushtarak. Now moving on to al-mu'awwal. Thumma, after mushtarak, idha tarajjaha, to become preferable. Idha tarajjaha ba'du wujuhil mushtaraki. If one of the meanings of the mushtarak word becomes preferable, what happens then? Look at this chart. We have a mushtarak. Okay? Now, tarajjaha ahadu ma'anihi bi bayan al-mutakallim. If the mutakallim himself tells you what it is, then what's the i'tibar? What level? Is it qat'i or dhanni, that meaning? It's qat'i. Mutakallim himself told you, I meant this. So now you're 100% sure his intended meaning is this. This is called mufassar. What's it called? Mufassar comes later, meaning it has been explained by the speaker. There's no need for, you can't say, well, oh, you said that, you didn't mean that. I know what I meant. So if you have a mushtarak word which has multiple meanings, and the mutakallim himself tells you, this is what I meant, it becomes mufassar, and this becomes qat'i dalala. You know 100% what it means. If you have a mushtarak word, but you do tarajjaha ahadu ma'anihi bi ghalibi dhanni, bi ghalibi ra'yi, bil ijtihad, you use context, you use context, you use qara'in, this word, that word, context, situation, then this now becomes what? Mu'awwal. What does it become? So mushtarak can either go which way? Mufassar or mu'awwal. Mufassar means that the speaker himself has clarified his intended meaning. And mu'awwal means that we have tried using context to clarify what is meant here. Is this qat'i or is this going to be dhanni? Dhanni means we think this is the intended meaning, but it's always ihtimal of khata. Correct? Yes? So, a mushtarak has how many meanings? 2 or more meanings. When one of those meanings is determined, the other meaning becomes saqit. And how is that second meaning determined? Either by a bayan al-mutakallim, then you call that mufassar. And or is become explained by the qara'in, that's called mu'awwal. And the mufassar is qat'i and qat'i dalala, and the mu'awwal is dhanni dalala, because we have come to the conclusion, we could be wrong, but hypothetically, we don't know. This is what we think makes more sense to us. Yes? That's why thalathatun is khas, qat'i, and quru is mushtarak, and we've used the context to clarify what it meant. But that is dhanni dalala, that's why dhanni dalala. So Imam Shafi believes in thalatha, he also believes in quru, but he doesn't ijtihad, he said no, it doesn't mean this. Because it's the niyud dalala, the mu'awwal. That's why it's not like, if Imam Shafi, but if you reject a verse of the Quran, it becomes kafir. So he's saying, it doesn't mean what you think it means. We're saying, no, it doesn't mean what you think it means. Why? Because the niyud dalala has ihtimal of ijtihad. Yes? And then we'll go over, inshallah. We say, ثُمَّ إِذَا تَرَجَّهَ, from tomorrow, inshallah. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم نحمده ونصلي على رسوله الكريم أما بعد. So last time, or yesterday, we were discussing mushtarak. No longer mushtarak, we are on to discuss a bit about mu'awwal. So let's go to the text now. So mu'awwal, so if you go back over again, a mushtarak is when you have a word with 2 or more possible meanings. If one meaning we have determined using the bayan al-mutakallim, the mutakallim himself tells us what his intended meaning is, we will say that is mufassar. And because the speaker has told us what his intended meaning is, it's qat'iyud dalala. We know 100% this is a murad. However, if there is no bayan from the mutakallim, and we do tarjih, we prefer or we choose one meaning based on ghalib al-ra'i, ijtihad, istidlal, this is called mu'awwal. We do ta'wil and figure out one meaning. This is now dhanniyud dalala, because there's always a possibility our ijtihad was wrong. Ijtihad is never going to be qat'i. Correct? Achha. ثم إذا ترجح بعض وجوه المشترك. If wajhan, one meaning. So if any of the meanings or one of the meanings of a mushtarak word, tarajjaha, is chosen, becomes preferred. It says bil ghalibi ra'i, against mistake. What does it also be? Bi ghalibi ra'i, the alif lam is wrong. isn't it? So we'll be Ra'yi al-Ghalib or be Ghalib al-Ra'yi. But this text has got a lot of mistakes. I copied from. Be Ghalib al-Ra'yi with the Bil Ghalib al-Ra'yi. Yeah, Bi Ghalib al-Ra'yi says this is Bil Ghalib al-Ra'yi. So Bi Ghalib al-Ra'yi yasiru mu. Again, mu'awwala. The spelling is incorrect. So if one of the meanings has become fixed, determined, then we call this mu'awwal. Okay? What's hukm of mu'awwal? وَحُكْمُ الْمُؤَوَّلِ وُجُوبُ الْعَمَلِ بِهِ. You have to do amal upon this. If there's a hadith or Quranic verse which tells us to do amal upon something, and that verse has a mushtarak, then how do you amal? You have to do ta'wil and figure out what does it mean. If there's tafsir, then we know what it means. There's no need for us to do anything. And if it's still mushtarak, there's no bayan from mutakallim, it's not mufassar, then we have to do ijtihad, come to a conclusion, do amal upon what we came to a conclusion, mahtimal al-khata'. Bearing in mind, we could be wrong. Imam Shafi could be right and quru could mean tahar. And we could be right, Imam Shafi could be wrong and it could mean hayd. But you have to do amal upon this. If not, we have to do ijtihad and come to a conclusion. If not, how will we do amal upon the verse? Correct? Example. وَمِثَالُهُ فِي الْحُكْمِيَّاتِ مَا قُلْنَا. Hukmiyat means uqul, like transactions. So we've got an example in transactions where we have a mushtarak and we then ta'weel of it and we fix one meaning. What's this example? إِذَا أَطْلَقَ فِي الْبَيْءِ. When a person, so what does it mean? إِذَا أَطْلَقَ فِي الْبَيْءِ. If a person does a transaction, and when he is fixing the price, he does not state the currency. أي إذا أطلق الكرنسي. أي he leaves the currency مطلق في البيع. So for example, let's say we're in England, or we are in England, and I said to you, this is for 5, this is for 5. How much is that for? That's for 10, that's for 15. So okay, I'll buy it for 5. Now the word 5, the tamiz is mushtarak. £5, $5. So what's this going to be? This is going to be what? This is going to be mushtarak. However, we do ta'weel. We say, well, is mu'awwal to mean 1. Which one? Pounds, because of the context. So إذا أطلق المشتري البائع, or إذا أطلق, depends on how you want to read it. If in bay the thaman is left mutlaq, كان على غالب نقد البلد. It will be on the predominant ghalib. It will be assumed or taken to be on the predominant currency. Naqdun is what? Currency. It will be assumed to be on the predominant currency. Dominant currency of the city. وَذَلِكَ بِطَرِيقِ التَّأْوِيلِ. That is based upon the way of ta'weel. Meaning, we said what? The word 5 has multiple tamiz, is mushtarak in currencies. But because of the context, we do ijtihad. And it's almost like qat'i. Yes? However, وَلَوْ كَانَتِ النُّقُودُ مُخْتَلِفَةً فَسَدَ الْبَيْعُ لِمَا ذَكَرْنَا. If there are multiple currencies, let's say for example, there's like let's say a currency, a place that uses 2 currencies, that the euros and pounds, both are being used. Ireland use both? I don't know. Let's say a country that uses both. Or there's an airport where people travel and they have multiple currencies. So like what currency is being used in that airport? Is it euros? Is it pounds? Is it dollars? There, now in that area, that locality, that shop, that airport, the nuqud are mukhtalifa. Now it's mushtarak, and the same way in mawla. We cannot determine which mawla, the top mawla, the bottom mawla. So similarly, the nuqud are mukhtalifa. There's no one word to tarjih. If there's word to tarjih, it's written down. It's not mutlaq. They mention euros, US dollars, whatever. So fasad al-bay'. If there's nothing mentioned, it's mushtarak. You can't hear all the currencies. We don't know which currency is. The bay' will be fasid. Lima dhakarna. Because we mentioned before that there's no umum in the mushtarak and there's no wajah of tarjih. Does everybody understand that? Example number 2 and example number 3. It came before. وَحَمْلُ This is iqra'. It's supposed to be hamlul aqra'i. This scholars got a lot of mistakes. وَحَمْلُ الْأَقْرَاءِ عَلَى الْحَيْضِ. He's referring to Quranic verse. What do we say there? That quru was mushtarak. We made it mu'awwal via ijtihad. That's also example of mu'awwal. Now the example was the verse we did before. وَلَا فَلَا تَحِلُّ لَهُ مِنْ بَعْدِ وَتَا تَنْكِهَ زَوْجٌ غَيْرَ. So in the first example where he mentioned, he said tankiha means nikah. Second place he mentioned, he said it means wat'i. So he said وَحَمْلُ النِّكَاح. The word nikah, to interpret it to mean wat'i, is also a ta'weel. It's mushtarak between two meanings and taken one meaning. I told you He's mentioned it twice. He's taken two different meanings, so there's a bit of contradiction in there, but you get the concept. Nothing to explain here. Example number 4. وَحَمْلُ الْكِنَايَاتِ. Interpreting kinayat. Interpreting, there are two types of talaq. Talaq sarih and talaq kinaya. Talaq sarih is when you say explicit words regarding talaq. Anti taliqun. And then there's certain words which are used for both talaq and non-talaq. They're called talaqun ba'in. Yes, or talaq kinai. So not ba'in, talaq kinai. So hamlul kinaya. If we have a kinaya word, to interpret, hamala, to take, to interpret, to lift that word on that meaning, to interpret kinayat words which are not explicit in talaq, but have the implication of talaq. Hala, maf'ul fi. Hala mudhakarati talaq. At the time of discussing mudhakara, at the time of discussing talaq, on the meaning of talaq, min hadha al-qabil is from this chapter. So hamlul kinayat, mubtada. Hala mudhakarati talaq is maf'ulun fi. And then this is also maf'ulun fi. And this is khabar. So to interpret the kinaya alfaz, at the time of discussing mudhakara, discussing talaq, in the talaq meaning is also from this qabil. What does it mean? It's a mushtarak. Has two possibilities. And when it has a context, the context will say, well, this means talaq. For example, the word ba'in. Bana yabinu wala yakadu yubin. To express something, meaning to enunciate your words in a way that everybody can understand it very clearly. And it also needs to be separate. So you can be, ba'in has two possible meanings. Hurr. Hurr means you are free. So the word hurr is also mean in terms of like a real person of character and morals. And a hurr, meaning I am free, I'm not a slave, meaning I've been educated, I've got manners, I've got morals. So anti hurra, you are a really good woman. And it also means you are free from my nikah. You're now free from my nikah. So anti ba'inun or anti hurra. This is a mushtarak word. Ba'in is mushtarak in different meanings. Hurra is mushtarak in different meanings. So it's what? Mushtarak. If the person says, I meant talaq, that becomes what? Mufassar. And if a person doesn't say what I meant, but we have context, they're talking about talaq, I think we need to discuss our marriage. Is it working, not working? The people are discussing it, and he said, well, you need to give her talaq. I said, okay, anti ba'in. Now the mudhakarat talaq, in that state, the mushtarak becomes mu'awwal, and it's taken in the meaning of talaq. Is that clear to everybody? Okay, next example. Example number 5. What we're discussing, mushtarak, a word has multiple meanings, and we determine one meaning based on context. وَعَلَى هَذَا, based on the same rule, قُلْنَا, what do we say? الدَّيْنُ الْمَانِعُ مِنَ الزَّكَاةِ يُصْرَفُ إِلَى أَيْسَرِ الْمَالَيْنِ قَضَاءً لِلدَّيْنِ. If a person has money, correct? So he has nisab. Along with nisab, he also owes people money. So he has dain. Now the dain, which prohibits the compulsion of zakah, yusrafu ila aysaril malain, it will be taken to the easiest, that currency or that nisab, which is easiest used to fulfill the loan. That makes absolutely no sense to anybody right now, right? Next. Okay. So we have a person here. Yes? And this person, he has 3 nisab. He has 40 sheep. And 40 sheep is a minimum. When you have 40 sheep, you have to give 1 sheep in what? Zakah. He has 200 pounds worth of goods as a businessman. That's a shop. He has 200 pounds or 200 dinar. No, he has 200 dirham. Let's keep the easy money. He has 200 dirham worth of goods. And that's a nisab. And he has 200 dirham in gold. Along with this, he owes 300 pounds. 300 dirham, sorry. So he has multiple nusub. Nisab number 1 is sheep nisab. Number 2 is aruz nisab, goods. And number 3 is the dirham nisab. Now, what do we have to do? We have to calculate total money that he has, and then we reduce the debt. So what he's saying here is, nisab is, the dain is mushtarak. Again, it's not a word is mushtarak. But again, I said, he digresses to masail which uses asal to make more furu'. So it's not really a kitabullah example. It's the kitabullah example is done for mushtarak and mu'awwal. But based on this mushtarak mu'awwal concept, what do we have? We have this idea and this principle is used in other furu, other masail. So what we're saying here, the nisab is is mushtarak. So what we'll do, we do ta'wil, and we say that we will yusrafu, the dain will be taken from aysarul malayn, ya aysarul amwal. Which is the easiest way to repay money, to pay your debt? The gold, because you have to sell it. You just give it. Goods, what you have to do? You have to sell it. And then there's a reason why goods are easier than animals, but we're not going to that right now. Let's believe that. So what we say, the aysarul mal, what's aysar? So say, look, this is gone. This is basically not your property because you have to pay that back. And now you have 20, you have 200, and let's say, did I put something here? Yeah. Now let's say, for example, each sheep is worth, let's make it easy, mouse here. Each sheep is worth 2.5. Not 2.5, 5. So 5 for the 20, isn't it? So each sheep is worth 5 dirham. Yes? So 20 sheep would be worth how much? 200. Right? Now in 40 sheep, how much you have to give? If you have 40 sheep, you have to give 1. And in 200 you have to give 5. Yes? 5, you have to give 5 dirham worth. Now what will we do here now? And then here you have to give 5 dirham. So you say, look, you don't get 5 dirham. What do? You say, this is not part of your money. And from these two is mushtarak again. We do ta'wil and say, look, we're gonna say, well, the dain is on what? Aysalul ma'alain. So the dain is actually in what? The sheep or the goods? The goods. So because the loan is in the goods, we say, well, he only has 100. Yes? So now he has to give how much? So now what's remaining? 100. So you have to give 1 sheep and 2.5 dirhams. You follow? You wouldn't say that let's calculate the price of this and say this is worth 200, so give 20, you have to give what? It's only 20 sheep. If this is 20 sheep, it's a zakat. In 20 sheep. No. Are you following? So then you say that, this is what you do. You calculate, you say, well, from here you only have 100. You only have 100 left. So you have 100 left and you have 40 sheep. So you give 1 sheep, then the nisab of that is 1 sheep, and nisab of 100 is 2.5. Do you understand? So the concept is, when you have a mushtarak, so it's not a mushtarak word, it's mushtarak in mal. So the dain is mushtarak in all of these nisab. So then you do ta'weel and say that the dain needs to go to aysalul malayn, ya aysalul amwal. And aysalul amwal is what? The gold or the dirham, then the goods, then the sheep. Are you following? Yes? So now you understand the concept? Let's do our text again. Wa ala hadha. Based on this, we say, ad-dainu al-mani'u min az-zakah. That dain which stops the compulsion of zakah. Yusrafu ila aysal al-malayn. It will be taken and applied to the easiest of the amwal, which is easiest to fulfill the dain. Are you following? And in our scenario, the easiest one is the silver. So we take the silver out first. Is it still left over? Yes, between the goods and the animals. And in those, the fuqaha have said the goods are easier. So you take the goods first and then the animal. You want to take out and say, well, let's take the value of the sheep first. You take the value of what first? The gold, then the goods, then the sheep. So it's not exactly a kitabullah word being mushtarak, but the mushtarak principle of mushtarak mu'awwal is being applied to a fiqhi juz'iyya. So again, you will have all of these tangents with a fiqhi masail and the kitabullah. It's not kitabullah, but it's the principle is then applied to these furu'. So just a clarification. It may be that when I said an explanation, that when that goes down to 100, is this zakat in this or not? It's in quduri. Would you merge the goods with the animal categorization or not? I can't remember right now. You can check it in quduri, you guys have done that. So if it is, so if in that case, there's no zakat on the goods and zakat in the sheep. And if you can merge it with zakat in the goods as well, you have to check it in quduri. I can't remember. That question came to my mind right now. Somebody raised that question right now. Example number 6. So farra'a Muhammadun ala hadha. This is 6 or 5b if you want to call it. It's based on the previous example. So Imam Muhammad rahmatullahi alayhi, farra'a, based on the top masla, Imam Abu Hanifa that they have discussed above. They said based on that, they said faqal, it's another masla. So if you understand the first masla, based on that. إِذَا تَزَوَّجَ إِمْرَأَةٌ عَلَى نِصَابٍ. A person does nikah. He says to the wife, I will give you mahar. What's the mahar? A nisab. وَلَهُ نِصَابٌ مِنَ الْغَنَمِ وَالنِّصَابٌ مِنَ الدَّرَاهِمِ. He has sheep and he has darahim. So what does he have to give? the 200 dirham, or you have to give a sheep. It's mushtarak. So I'm going to marry you, the mahar is a nisab. It's mushtarak. I already said before, when you have a mushtarak in wealth, yusrafu ila aysalil malain ada'an. The easiest wealth which can be used to repay. The easiest form of wealth is cash. Just give it. Other stuff is frozen as assets. You have to liquidate them. Then you have to give it. So aysalul malain. So ala tariq at-ta'wil, we would say yusrafu ad-dainu ila aysalil malain, which is wealth. So therefore, yusrafu ad-dainu ila darahim. So we have the same situation. Well, I don't know why I got 300. Yeah, it won't be 300. He has to pay her a nisab. Yes? Because that's a mahar. Now, which mahar does he have to pay? What becomes the mahar? The 200 dirham or the 40 sheep? The 200 dirham. Why? Aysalul malain. Correct? Thereafter, yeah, is that part understood? Is that part clear, Abdullah? Online, everybody? Yes? Based on that, hatta law hala alayhim al-hawl. For 1 year he never paid. They didn't nikah, for example, first Ramadan. Did he never get a chance to meet her, or never consummate the marriage or something, or he never paid her? 1 year goes by, next Ramadan comes. On which of the wealth does he have to give zakat? On which of the wealth does he have to give zakat? On which one? He says, tajibu zakat indahu fi nisabil ghanam, la tajibu fi darahim. Why? Because the darahim belong to her. Yes? So I will give you one nisab, he had two nisab. Ala tariq ta'wil, we determine that the nisab that he has to give is going to be the darahim, because it's aysalul malain, not the ghanam. Now because it's not ghanam, when that means the dirham belong to the lady. So when 1 year passes by, that gold was actually part of his dain, and the sheep, the nisab is his. So yajibu zakatu fil ghanami la fil darahim. Fahimt? Yes? Now, we're continuing with the hukam of mu'awwal, but I mentioned this already before. We said if you do ala ghalibir ra'i, it becomes what yajibu al-amalu bihi ma ihtimal al-khata', which is basically dhanni. ولو ترجح بعض وجوه المشترك ببيان من قبل المتكلم. However, if the meaning of the mushtarak is preferred or chosen because of the mutakallim's expression himself, the mutakallim himself says this is the meaning, kana mufassara, this becomes what? Mufassar. وحكمه أنه يجب العمل به, not مع احتمال الخطأ, not ظني, but يقينا أي قطعي الدلالة. We mentioned this before. Again, mushtarak, if you take one of the meanings because of the ijtihad, the kallim's bayan, is mufassar becomes qat'i. And if you do be one of the ijtihad, ghalibi ra'i, it becomes mu'awwan, it is dhanni. And he expresses dhanni by saying mahtimal al-khata', and qat'i by saying yaqina. Ji. Now example of mufassar. What's the example of mufassar? Mithaluhu. You have mushtarak, and the mutakallim himself says what it means. Mithaluhu idha qala li funanin. I say to you, I say to a person. Yes? What do I say? I say, alayya asharatu darahim min naqdi Bukhara. Bukhara. Yes, don't follow my text. The text on the screen is coming from a Word document. It's got loads of mistakes. So, alayya asharatu darahim. I owe you 10 dirham. And those times darahim is like, owe you 10 pounds. You have 10 pounds sterling, I think of Bahraini pounds, you have different people use the word pound, dollars. You have US dollars, you have Barbados dollars, you have Australian dollars. Yes? So if you're in America, then we use ijtihad, and the ghal, it would be what? US dollars. If you're in Barbados, you say $10, it would be Barbadian dollars. In Australia, it would be automatically Australian dollars. But if you say, I am selling this item for 10 US dollars, even if you're in Barbados, it's what? Mufassar mu'awwal. Mufassar, he has explained, the mutakallim explained clearly that my murad of dollars is actually Barbadian dollars or US dollars. So here, there is different type of darahim of Bukhara, darahim of Kufa, Medina, of Hijaz, because they are molded, they don't have a mint. You print everything the same. They would have local mints or local molds, so it would be slightly different in weight. So if you say darahim, and you don't say, what is it? Mushtarak. And it would be, we do ta'ween, say it refers to the darahim of the local city. And if he says no, it's naqd of Bukhara, then it's now mufassar. فَقَوْلُهُ مِن نَقْدِ Bukhara. Him saying it's from the naqd of Bukhara, tafsirun lahu, is a tafsir for the mushtarak. فلولا ذلك, had he not explained it, لكان منصرفا, it would have been turned, taken, interpreted إلى غالب نقد البلد بطريق التأويل, as mentioned before. فيترجح المفسر. However, what is dominant? Mufassar is better than, is stronger than what? Mu'awwal, because why? Mufassar mutakallim, I've told you what I meant. Don't try to figure out what I meant. I've told you what I meant. I'm saying it's Naqd al-Bukhara. So you don't have to say, well, it means this, it means this. I am telling you what I meant. So, فهمت? Yes? فَلَا يَجِبُ نَقْدُ الْبَلَدِ. So if you are, let's say in Hijaz, you are in Makkah, Medina, and he's got the Naqd al-Bukhara. If he says, I owe you 10 Bukhara dirham, even if he's in Hijaz, what would it be taken as? Naqd of Bukhara. If you're in America, yes, or let's say we're in Barbados, yes, and I said, I owe you $10. If I said, I owe you $10, what would it mean? Barbadian dollars, because $10 is Barbados, the location is Barbados, so the mushtarak, by Allah tariq al-ta'wil, we say the local currency is Barbadian dollars, so it's 10 Barbadian dollars. If he says, in Barbados, I owe you $10, in Mufassar, we want to say, well, like a context. We say, no, he said Barbadian dollars, so therefore the transaction is going to be. Even a court, if you have a documentation, it was dollars, and it goes in court, well, this is written in Barbados, the judge will say, well, you have to pay Barbadian dollars. And if he explicitly mentions in the documentation of the contract as US dollars, then it will be US dollars. Fahimt? That is the end of the lesson. Yes, has everybody understood? Subhanallah wa bihamdihi, subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika, wa nashhadu an la ilaha illa anta, nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilayk.